10 rules how to go broke. So it was very comical kind of presentation that he had, but very useful when one thinks of the common mistakes that one does in everyday's life. One's habit again comes into action when one does everything to go broke, forces oneself to spend money uh, without any reason, and like say simply stated, it is kind of spending money where it is not required. So the first thing is first rule that he has researched is about one's own being. So that is the topic today, one's own being, how one conducts oneself uh, to get into that roadmap to get to be a broke person. So he has spoken a very elaborately, but what I understood from this thing is like so how we think about ourselves. How what are the uh, motivators for us? What are how do we perceive ourselves? What are our habits? And whether we feel upbeat about ourselves or we are constantly depressed about this or that thing. One thing I would like to draw your attention to is the moment we think about the other person to be responsible for our happiness, or it can be the other person, it can be the external circumstances, it can be um, like everyday happenings which are not going our way, and there are several things due to our own habits also. There will be some negative things happening. The health is one thing which one doesn't have control of, but with regard to that health, what we can do. And the uh, like say suppose I have to travel from my home to workplace for 3 hours in a day, so those 3 hours I spend doing nothing. So that is a choice whether I want to do something about that time or not. So if I simply sit and suppose I am traveling by metro, then if I am standing simply for 3 hours a day, then I obviously it is time lost and I am wasting my time, right? But suppose I listen to an audio book during that time. I can have my earphones on, and I can download my that audiobook into my mm, smartphone, and if I can listen to that audiobook making mental notes about it. If I am standing, then obviously I cannot take any written notes, but I can take mental notes during the travel. So it is a book read, like say normally it is uh, 2 to 3 hours of audiobook. Even if it is more than that, then also more than 80% would be listened to during the metro travel. So that is a major task of the day. So one book, like say 80% of a book read in one day, which means a maximum in 2 days we will complete one audiobook, and in a month that will be 15 audiobooks. And listening to an audiobook is far more easier than reading a book. So it requires constant bringing in oneself to the focus of the content of the book, and that is definitely very difficult in a day to day in on everyday's basis. Nowadays there is very less time to read a book physically. because of so many distractions happening. So once we start reading a book, that means we can also remember something else to be done. The moment we focus onto a book, then we remember another task to be done, and then we get into that task, and there are several things. A focused mind is a very, very productive mind, so one tends to get involved into several other things also. And that is how one gets distracted into um, doing other things rather than reading the book. So it is that is why, that is the same reason, if one wants to develop a habit of reading a book a day, then one can utilize that travel time in listening an audiobook. So that is a far more mm, constructive way of utilizing travel time. It is another debate, however, whether it is better to read a book or listen to an audiobook. When one is not able to read a book at all, uh, for example, I have been reading a book um, for 3 or 4 months now, because of certain distractions, right? But during that time, during last 3 4 months, actually I have read more than 5 audiobooks. So that explains why I'm suggesting about listening to an audiobook rather than reading a book. Maybe after some time, I would like to read the book, because reading a book gives another feeling, another way of conceptualizing the subject, which doesn't happen in an audiobook. One can take the gist of the audiobook, and that also can um, uh, drive you to think and all that. But reading a book means one does have some time to take notes, and that is how one improves. So to start developing the habit of reading a book, one can start listening to an audiobook. And if one is wasting a lot of time in travel, then this is one way, and there are other ways one can deal with oneself, right? So that is about habit. And um, and the second thing is very difficult, maybe, to change one's perspective towards the everyday happening. If there is something negative happening in everyday life, in an office scenario or something, then of course that takes time. But all that starts from having a perspective of doing something positive that day. So rather than contemplating over certain incidences as to how and why that thing is affecting you, uh, one can just have a uh, guideline for oneself to be positive no matter what happens. See, I'm at this moment, what I'm sensing is, like, see, there is lot of uh, kind of um, people trying to ride over me, because I do certain things very good, and I lack on certain other things. So in order to complement or supplement, I need maybe support of the other people, or that has been the ritual in the office scenario. So if we get into this kind of details, it kind of only can give a negative perspective, and one gets very lower in energy, and one feels drained out, right? So rather than that, one can think of what is the positive thing that one can do. And the number of positive things that one can do actually become so large that the other person or the other circumstances do not matter after some time, because one is so focused, so engrossed with the positive things, and the list is growing all the time, that it becomes impossible to give time to those negative mindsets or negative circumstances at all after some time. So these are the two aspects of uh, how one thinks at uh, oneself, and how one conducts one's own being. There are other aspects about uh, having exercises, smiling a lot, and greeting people, and other things also are there, but these are the two things that concerns me, and I hope it also concerns so many other people who are trying to start something in a positive note during the day, and constantly being uh, in that thought process. So hope this helps, and this is part of this also explain why I have done this performance optimization course, and I would like everybody to take a tour of that course in the link that is mentioned above. Thank you.